One way you can access Zoom is by going into your web browser and going to the Zoom website. You can go to and type in zoom.us in your browser. When you come to the Zoom website, you're going to go over to your upper right and click Sign In. When you do this, you're going to click Sign In. It'll always bring you to your meetings page, so anything you have upcoming, it'll have here. If you do hover over it, you can either start the meeting or you can edit the meeting if you need to. So you can edit for time is different, if you need to add a co-host, the title, anything like that. You can also schedule a meeting from this page by clicking on Schedule a Meeting. It'll bring you into this window where you can title it, set your date, your duration of the meeting, is it reoccurring, etc., and so forth. Over to in the upper quadrant here, you've got your previous meetings. So if you needed to know anytime you had a meeting who it was with. You have your personal room. In your personal room, you can have the ability to edit. So if you need to edit your personal meeting ID to make it something different, you can do this. If you need to edit the passcode that students use to enter your room, you can do that here as well. You can decide if you want video on or off when you enter, what your meeting options are, if you want to mute the students upon entry of their Zoom, if you want to already pre-assign breakout rooms for people, and if you have a co-host or an alternative host to the meeting, you can set that here as well, and then press save. If you have issues with your profile in Zoom, go over to the left, click on Profile. This is where you can edit your name. You can edit anything in your personal ID, so if you want to change your URL, you can do so. What you're going to find important in this website is going to be your recordings. So if you decide to record your Zooms and then you want to place them in your LMS, so students have a transcript and a recording, by clicking on recordings, this is where you're going to find them. So you have the option in Zoom to do cloud recordings or local recordings. Local recordings will save them to the computer that you're using, where cloud recordings actually get stuck up into the cloud. It takes less time to process and to become available to you. With the cloud recordings, however, it is only available for 30 days. So if you need the recording more than 30 days, you probably will want to record it to your local computer. But in here would be any recordings that you've done. If you want to share a recording with your students, you're going to click the share. I often recommend turn the passcode off. This way students just click a link and they get right into the recording. Then you would just do copy sharing information to the clipboard, and then you're going to go put that information in your learning management system for students to be able to access that recording. The other thing you're going to find over to the left-hand side are your settings. So if you want a require passcode, anything that deals with your meetings, these are your settings. I recommend that you go through each of them just to make sure that it's set the way you want it to be set. So that way it's all done for you, and then all you have to do is use the Zoom app when you come into your computer. The following video will take you through how to utilize the Zoom app on your computer and what to do during a Zoom meeting. To create a meeting for your students, you can do either of the following. You can go to New Meeting, click the down arrow, ensure that your personal meeting ID is on, and then select New Meeting. You're then going to join your audio. To invite students to this meeting, you're going to do the following. Click on the top arrow next to participants and click Invite. From here, down below, you can click on the copy invite link. Once you have done that, you can do either of the following. 1, log into your Buzz instance, go to your teacher app, find your course with your last name on it. Make sure you're editing in the current course with your last name on it. Go to your menu up in the upper left and click on Activities. This will take you to your landing page. Once in your landing page, click Edit, and you can enter your Zoom information by pasting it in. From here, students will be able to log in and click on the link in order to access your Zoom. The other way to be able to do this is to go to your Gmail through BOCES, hit compose, and send an email to your students. Your students will then join your Zoom. Either through clicking on the link in Buzz or clicking on the email that was sent. Once your students enter your Zoom, they will enter a waiting room. And you will get notified in Zoom that you have a student waiting in your waiting room. You can either go to See Waiting Room, and you'll be able to see a list of students that are waiting for admittance. Once in the waiting room, you want to click Admit to admit the student. If you do not believe it is a student that is yours, you can also click Remove. We're going to admit the student. And the student is now going to be admitted into the meeting. Various things that you can do with your students once they show up under participants. As you hover over their name and you click on More, you can ask them to start a video if they're not showing their video currently. You can also make the student a co-host. Being a co-host allows the student to be able to share their screen during the meeting. So if you are doing presentations or you're trying to walk the student through troubleshooting, you can do this. You can also rename the student and put the student in a waiting room or remove the student if they are misbehaving. We do not recommend making the student a host of your meeting. That will take all rights away from you, and then the student has complete control over your Zoom. Down below, you're going to be able to see yes, no, go slow, go fast, or clear all. These are tools that your students will be able to use as you present. So if you want to see if students are paying attention, you can ask them to give you a thumbs up or a like, and they would be able to do that. Or you can mute all of your students. So if your students come in with their microphones on, you can click Mute All, and all participants within your Zoom meeting will be muted. You also have the ability to set these things in play automatically. Next to participants, you then have chat. Your students can start a chat if they need to ask a question in the class. They would type it in. You will get notified that there is a chat question. You can open it up and the chat will open. You can select specific students if you want to do one-on-one chats, or you can chat with everybody in the meeting. Next to chat then becomes the share screen. This is used when you're ready to present to the class as a whole. To do so, you're going to select share screen. It's going to ask you what screen you wish to present. And then you're going to press share. Once you start sharing your screen with students, your toolbar for Zoom will move up to the top. In here, it'll tell you in green that you are sharing your screen. Next to that will be the stop share, so when you're ready to stop sharing with your students, you can do so. You also have the ability to pause the share, so if you need to pause to go to a website before you present it to the students, you can do that, and then you can resume right after. You can also annotate your screen, so if this is something that you're starting to show students that's new and different, you can select draw. You can select the color that you want to draw in, and you can also select your width. And now you can annotate your screen to show students what they should be paying attention to. You also have the ability to type on here. And bold. If you need to clear your annotations, simply press clear. If you want to save your annotations so you can post them in your classroom afterwards for your students, you can do this as well by simply clicking save. There is also a highlighting tool here, so if you need to highlight, you can highlight different aspects that you're clicking on so students can better see. You can also do polling with your students. Polling is done when you currently have one set. It'll launch the poll, and then your students can vote on the poll regarding what the questions are. Polls are created when you go to the zoom.us on your website. You create the poll there, and then it will show up in your Zoom. Under More in Zoom, you will also be able to see Record. We recommend usually recording to the cloud. If you record to the cloud, you have 30 days for the recording to last. However, it takes less time to process, and it doesn't take up as much room on your computer. This is where you can also find your breakout rooms. If you're opting to break students out into different groups so they can do group works, you can click breakout rooms. It'll ask you for the number of participants for each room. And then if you want to put the kids in manually, you can click manually and then create the breakout room. And then just click assign to assign your students to that room. You also have the ability to disable annotations for your students. So if you're asking students to annotate a page, you can disable that. And then if you are doing a video clip with your students and you need them to hear the clip volume, you want to click more and go to share computer sound. So this way the students will be able to hear the sound clearer on the video clip. When you're ready to stop sharing, you're simply going to click stop share. And then you can end your meeting. This was a quick view of using Zoom with students.